Good evening, Houston, and welcome back to November Nightly News. With the election only days away, immigration has found itself among the most divisive issues among politicians and voters. 78% of self-reported Republicans believe immigration is a critical threat, while only 19% of self-reported Democrats believe the same. On today's program, we'll have incumbent Texas Governor Jim Brewer here to provide his position on the issue. His opponent, Representative Evan Peterson, will also be here to argue the other side. Let's get right into it. Governor Brewer, welcome to the show. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. The feeling is mutual. Welcome to the show, Representative Peterson. This is actually your first time on the show. Thank you, Steve. I hope it's not the last. Glad to have you here. This question is for the both of you, but I'll start with Governor Brewer. How severe is the current situation at our southern border, and how should the government respond to it? Or rather, what would you do as governor to address the immigrant crisis? I mean, that's exactly how I'll describe it. It is a crisis. Every single day, the number of people illegally entering our country is only rising, incentivized by Democrats with their preaching of open borders. Now, some of these people are good people, sure, but we can't trust that they all are. When people enter legally, we know who they are, where they are. But when immigrants enter through illegal means, we have no idea where they are, if they're paying taxes, or if they're even following our laws. Yet we're responsible for spending hundreds of millions on them when our own people are still struggling. As governor, I will increase funding towards strengthening our border security and remove all amnesty of illegal immigrants and anyone who decides to aid them. I fully welcome legal immigrants. What I don't support is illegal immigrants skipping their place in line and enjoying the fruits of other people's labor. Senator Peterson, your response? I mean, sure, in an ideal world, everyone would come to the US legally and wait for their place in line. Unfortunately, we don't live in an ideal world. The fact of the matter is, immigrants are already here and they're not going to stop coming. Increasing deportations and building 100 walls won't do anything to address the underlying issues. The reason why so many people risk their lives to cross into America is that they believe there are opportunities for a better life for them and their children. They come searching for freedom, equality, and self-determination, which are shared values that all Americans stand for. What we need to do is help them on their path to becoming citizens. But when you start off by breaking the law, it shows you have no respect for the principles of this beautiful nation. And they really share our values. They respect the process outlined by our Constitution and our government, rather than openly defying it. You bring up a good point, but not everyone can wait years and years for a naturalization process that is confusing and prone to delays. I'm a co-sponsor of HR 1177, otherwise known as the U.S. Citizenship Act. What we're trying to accomplish with this act is a streamlined path to citizenship for certain undocumented people. A new lawful prospective immigrant status will be available to applying non-citizens who meet the proper requirements and pass background checks. After 5 years, they may apply for and receive permanent resident status. The bill will also provide permanent resident status to non-citizens who either entered the country as a minor, were eligible for temporary protected status of deferred enforced departure on January 1st of 2017, or worked the necessary hours of agricultural labor in the 5 years prior to applying. 2 out of 3 undocumented immigrants have been living in our country for more than a decade, and they've been contributing greatly to our economy, especially in the agricultural and construction industries. It would make absolutely no sense to deport them now when they've been contributing to our society for so long. If there was an expedient process for naturalization of immigrants, there would be no reason to enter illegally. Now, are you familiar with the case of Sanchez v. Mayorkas representative? Jose Sanchez and his wife entered the U.S. illegally in 1997 and 1998. In 2001, they were allowed back into the country after receiving temporary protected status due to a series of earthquakes hitting El Salvador. In 2014, they applied to become permanent residents, but their application was denied, rightfully so. The case made it all the way up to the Supreme Court, where guess what? The court ruled unanimously against the Sanchez's, determining that temporary protected status does not constitute lawful admission into the U.S. Now let me circle back to that unanimous part. Even all your Democratic judges couldn't agree with your stance on immigration. All this is according to 8 United States Code Section 1255, and decision was made in 2021. So let me ask you this, Mr. Peterson. Are you advocating we break the law that was just affirmed by the Supreme Court just for your little political agenda? All right, gentlemen, I wish we could keep this going for the rest of the night, but it seems we've used up all the time for this segment. Thank you both for your time. After the commercial break, we'll be back with how to tell if your child is a communist operative.
Illegal aliens crossing the border, flooding our state. How will you protect your home and your family? Re-elect Jim Brewer for governor. He's tough on crime and he'll fight tooth and nail for your constitutional rights. Jim will never back down from enforcing the law of the land. He puts America first. For anyone who supports illegal immigration, take a page out of Humpty Dumpty's book and keep your hands off our wall.